Man, there's been a lot of changes at Harbor Freight. Now, they got started in the 70s doing cheap tools that if you lasted for one job, you were good. And they kept rolling from there and growing and growing and growing. But about 10-ish, maybe 9-ish years ago, they got an idea in their head that they wanted to become more than just the cheap tool store. And they came out with this concept of good, better, best. Now, we just talked about their mid-tier, their better, all right? And that was the Bauer line of power tools. So you can go check out that video. But a lot of people are asking, so what's up with Hercules? What's going on with them? Because that's their pro tier, their best tier line of power tools. And a lot of people will chuckle. There's a lot of haters out there who try to not admit how good these tools are, but test after test after test, and tradesman after tradesman after tradesman kind of has been showing that, yeah, they're here to play. Yep, Harbor Freight first launched the Bauer line of cordless tools, and it was just, your standard, it was good quality, brush tools, but they weren't going to stop there. This is the original battery that they launched, and they've done revisions. This is the new form of the battery, but same great cells, Samsung cells, top tier kind of stuff, great quality for the price. But let's talk about some of the stuff that they're offering now because it has really changed the game. Now, we got to start with the core set. Now, I always think of the core set as your brushless impact driver here. And this thing just blew people away. In fact, it was such a big impact, pun intended, that DeWalt and Milwaukee had to go back to the drawing boards and revamp their tools to come out with something that would beat it because this was too close, performing too well, and at a price of $70 for a brushless tool was making a lot of people a little bit scared. All right, but they didn't stop there. Then they also have their drill driver. Again, full metal chuck, a Jacobs chuck. It's, nice compact form factor. Again, $70 on that. And then they finally released this one. In fact, I got one right here. This is their hammer drill. Again, just a great quality tool. It's you pick one of these up. If you were blindfolded and you picked one of these up, you'd be hard pressed to tell quality-wise the difference between, any of the top tier brands and this. And again, it put people on notice. All of these coming in with those are both 70. This one's coming in at $80, brushless, well made. But they have that 90-day warranty. Well, not anymore. Buy with confidence. That's right. All of the Hercules tools now come with a 5-year warranty. 3 years on the batteries, and I think 3 years on the chargers as well. And they've got some really good quality chargers. They're dual voltage chargers. They have dual voltage chargers. They've got a lot of this stuff. And now it's 5 years, which is better than almost every other brand out there. A lot of people say, well, Milwaukee's 5 years. Well, Milwaukee's 5 years if you want to send it in, find a service center or something like that. This is the old Sears kind of mentality. You walk it in, you slap it on the counter, you go, it broke. And they're like, grab another one. You're good to go. You're in and out in like NASCAR pit kind of times. And that's one of the things that people love about Harbor Freight. A lot of people saying it's the new Sears. And then when you're coming out with professional level tools like this, man, it makes some of the, big brand fanboys a little bit angry. A lot of bit angry. Check out my comment section. And then they did this. And boy, this set people off. This is the 20 volt brushless half-inch Ultra Torque. Yeah, it's a silly name. With the just all the oomph there that you could possibly need. Coming in at $190 for the tool only. And then when this thing goes on sale, this is a serious tool. The obligatory revs there, we got to do it. But I mean, come on. This one, go check out my friends over at Torque Test channel if you want to see the real numbers on stuff like this. They proved that you could get top tier high torque power at a bargain price. He did not have to do, you didn't have to go and lay out the entire, bankroll as it were, and just to get a tool that you could get the job done. And then when it went to a 5-year warranty, man, it put a lot of people on notice. At this point, Harbor Freight's like, you can't ignore them at this point. 5-year warranty, mostly at this point, almost an entirely line of brushless tools. They're really, really stepping up at that point. Then we got not just another circ saw, they went and did a rear handle worm drive saw here, all of the Skill style. This thing, people have been loving this, coming in at $150. And then of course we had the grinder. We showed this one on the channel way back in the day. This is your 4.5 inch to 5 inch paddle switch angle grinder, tool only, brushless for $80. And again, remember the key here is these are regular prices. These aren't even the sale prices, all right? The regular prices are good. The sale prices are incredible. And remember, we never shop at Harbor Freight unless you got a coupon, right? That's rule number one at Harbor Freight. The grease gun, they've got a lot of specialty tools as well. It's not as broad a line as the Bauer, all right? The Bauer's being more akin to the Ryobi, a broader line, more stuff around the house. The Hercules is designed at the contractor, mechanic, the serious, professional, actually more at what they call the value pro. And that is the pro who has to buy their own tools, who has to justify the cost, usually somebody who works for themselves. And at that point, they're like, yeah, service and support on this, that makes a difference. If I'm down, I can't send a tool off and wait 2 or 3 months to get it back like often happens with DeWalt. Even Milwaukee, best case, a couple weeks. All right, if you're a pro, can you be without your tool for a couple weeks? I don't think so. All right, and then this grease gun and some of the other specialty tools, they just round it out and make it a really compelling line here. But then we got to talk about the batteries. I mentioned this before. All right, the 5 amp hour batteries. So these are top tier cells. I think this one's got the 5 amp hour on it. Let me pop it off there. This thing is, I said, it's a top tier cell. I've taken them apart. Samsung cells inside. Just really robust manufacturing on these. On the 2.5s, these are the base cells. You got people like DeWalt throwing in 1.3s and stuff like that. Their smallest batteries are 2.5. With this battery lineup, it kind of, ended the argument. It's, people fanboys will still try and argue. They'll still come up, they like to play make-believe and come up with these weird excuses that they just know. That's their facts. That's the receipts they bring. But this is where it really kind of, just kind of ended the argument. 12 amp hour battery for $130. That's not on sale. That's the list price. You can walk in any day and get a 12 amp hour battery for $130. You can't do that with any of the big name brands. You're talking, that's a standard 5 amp hour battery from DeWalt, all right? That is insane. I mean, trust me, I got one sitting right here. Which one would you have? Which one do you want? Now, I would show you my 12 amp hour battery, but I blew it up and I did a video. You can go check out the video on it. I did a video showing it and taking it apart, and I let the genie out of the bottle, unfortunately, on that one. But that just goes to show how much of a tank that thing is built, because you can't just easily disassemble it. It is built for serious work. It's built to take a beating. All right. Then they got their 12 volt line. Now, I'll be honest, I'm the first one to say a lot of their 12 volt line is like, meh. I do like the 12 volt electric screwdriver. The drill is meh. The impact and the impact wrench are, I know a lot of people who like use them for under dash work and stuff like that. But the ratchets, however, these are my favorite ratchets. And I've got a lot of ratchets, all right? And I love this form factor. I love the size. This one's got the 4 amp hour battery on it. You don't really need that on these. You can get by with the smaller battery, but they just work. Nice long. I like the long reach on them to get in there and reach stuff that's it's hard to reach. And at $55, that's granted, that's tool only. You're not getting the whole kit for that price, but that's Amazon tool kind of pricing at that point. And when it's on sale, okay, this is, and I've used this on so many projects. I definitely stand by that tool. Then this thing came out, and talk about a meme tool. Again, it's like Milwaukee sits there and just waits for Harbor Freight to one up them, and they're like, quick, everyone go to the design room and come up with a new one, because they immediately had to release a Gen 2, because this at $60, at $60. It's so popular, it's still hard to find. And look at the size of this thing. This is tiny. This is a tiny little grinder here. If you're looking for a right angle, and I know I get people email me daily about this going, hey, did they pull it from store shelves? What's going on? I can't find one. And I've contacted Harbor Freight. They're like, no, they're still selling it. They're still releasing it. The problem is, as soon as they come in, they go out. It's just that popular. All right. And then let's talk about some corded tools, some shop tools. The Hercules planer. I did a video on this one. Yeah, it's kind of a clone of the DeWalt. Not necessarily a bad thing. This is a great tool. It's $350 for a 15 amp, 12.5 inch thickness planer that's built like a tank. I know tons of serious woodworking guys who've used this are like, that thing's great. I love it. This thing, for the price, you can't come close to it. It's a third the price less than the DeWalt, if I'm not mistaken. The DeWalt, actually, they have it right here on the screen. The DeWalt is $550. That's an insane price on a great tool. Now, a lot of people like to sit, you'll hear people, and they call themselves tool guys. They're like, well, they're just copying so-and-so. Have you been around the tool world? That's the way the game is played. People have been doing that since day one. Every tool company out there. I've been doing this now. This is August. This is 10 years on YouTube for me. And I've done histories on every major tool line. And most of them, heck, Snap-on got started copying ratchets from other companies. It's part of the game, folks. All right, now let's keep going. We got the table saw. This is the Gen 2 table saw. They widened the base on it for safety. They licensed the ratcheting gear mechanism, so it's just like the DeWalt, like that. $379, again, that's the list price. And we've seen what's going on with the DeWalt. They've gotten more expensive and smaller because now they're only, they're an 8.5 inch saw or blade on there. This one's still running the full-size 10-inch table saw blade there. Hard to find for a lot of these. Then we've got the miter saw. We talked about this since it came out. Still a go-to. The typical sale price on this is still, despite the pandemic, despite inflation, despite everything, it's still $300 is the standard sale price on that saw. With the drop shadow line, the whole 9 yards. They just recently released the 2-inch by 48-inch belt grinder. That's been a fabulous one. And I cannot tell you how good the quality of this grinder is. For you folks, older folks who've been around, you remember the old Dayton tools, similar to the Rockwell. And these were the kind of things that, when I was a kid. I'm 56. When I was a kid, you walk into a shop and in a corner on a pedestal was one of these just classic grinders. And usually it was the Rockwell or the Dayton. And they're next to impossible to find these days. And as new ones, go look at a Jet. Just go look at a Jet, see how much that. Well, they got the price right here, $355. Good luck on that one. All right, and then after that, we've got this thing. Now, granted, it used to be the Bauer, and it used to be $10, $20 cheaper or something like that. And I said when it came out, I thought it was odd that it was in the Bauer line because it seemed more like a pro grade kind of tool. And there were some issues, and Eastwood sued them. And of course, the Eastwood's going to lose on that one because Eastwood just, they're saying they copied Eastwood. Eastwood copied somebody else. If you have to do any kind of resurfacing, I know we always talk about metal, but they work on wood as well. So if you have to do any kind of restoration, this is a must-have. All right, the bandsaw, we've always talked about it used to be the Chicago Electric, then it became the Bauer, and then they stepped it up with the Hercules 11 amp, 5-inch deep cut variable speed bandsaw. Of course, they have this in cordless as well. This is a great saw, but I'm just including this saw because you have to talk about it when you have this. Now, to be fair, you do not have to have Hercules in the Hercules stand. This stand is just so good. Here's the only problem with the stand. I use it in the vertical configuration so much that I only so often have to put it in the horizontal. But I'm to the point where I'm just going to buy two. Right now I've taken the base off of mine, and it's just a vertical saw. So I have it set up, and I have two C-clamps that clamp it to a bench, and I have the table on it. And I don't know if they have a picture here with the table. There you go. Show a picture with the table. So it's got a table that bolts on. So that's now my dedicated metal cutting vertical saw, or for even like detail cuts. I can just walk over, get a cut off of it. I've paired it with one of the foot pedals that they sell also. So I can plug it in, step on the foot pedal, run my piece through, two hands on the piece, don't have to worry about, holding a power button or anything like that. And then the second I step back, it turns off. Fantastic. And then I'm going to set up the parallel or the horizontal one right next to it, and I'll have my full metal cutting solutions just done. And there's other solutions out there, but you can get both of these for about the price of one of those. So even with the saws. Now, I said you don't have to use the Hercules, but the Hercules is a good saw. All right, and then this. So back in the day, those of you know, there was Porter Cable and there was Bosch. Those were the planers. If you were a woodworker, you were in one of those camps. It was like Ford versus Chevy. That was it. The only choices. You were Bosch or Porter Cable. And a lot of people thought Porter Cable was the top tier. And then Porter Cable picked up their ball and went home. Actually, that's not true. They got bought by Stanley Black & Decker, and just like everything else they touched, they screwed that one up also. I don't understand what they did, but they completely pulled out of the corded woodworking market and just left it open. And another company stepped in, and I'm pretty sure that company is the company that OEMs this, because everybody and their brother's like, this is the new option. 119, you get the fixed base, you get the plunge base, you get a 12 amp variable speed router and that's the sale price, or that's the regular price, not the sale price. It's just become a standard now for anybody who's looking for an alternative to spending. I mean, gosh, the Bosch used to go on sale for 150 all the time. Now it's like once a year, like Black Friday kind of stuff. All right, and then we got to talk about the dust extractor. A lot of the serious woodworkers and carpentry guys, as soon as this came out, they were like, oh my gosh, I don't have to go and buy a Bosch or a Festool or the Makita. I can get this. It is fantastic. I know it's fantastic because I have it in my shop. I have it set up. I have a little mini desktop CNC machine. I'll try and put video of it up here. And it needs dust extraction. And this thing has been perfect for that. It's as soon as you turn it on, it turns on, and it does exactly what it's supposed to do. And it's not stupid loud. It's not whisper quiet. But for $350 to get a HEPA level dust extractor, nobody's coming close to that. Well, there you go. Hercules has made a lot of changes. I know you're like, but what's coming next? We haven't seen a lot of Hercules new tools. And honestly, I think that has to do with the tariffs and stuff that's been going on and them trying to figure out where they're going to lie. Maybe they're retooling. I don't have a definitive answer on that, but I do know that new tools are coming at SEMA. That's first week in November this year. And I did kind of get a little bit of information about it. And I can tell you that the new tool they're going to release at SEMA is going to be... Well, anyway, there you go. If you like what we do here, go ahead and chomp the old like button, smash that subscribe, ring the bell on the way out. You all take care, God bless, and as always, shine on. Oh, come on. I couldn't help myself. Yeah, I was stupid. I let them tell me what it is, and now I can't leak it because they'll know how I got the information. But let's just say it is, again, going to put some companies on notice.